So Jean will be presenting on cognitive reserve and the bilingual mind. Thank you, Jean, for joining us today.
Thank you very much. Do you hear me and do you see my presentation?
Yes, we do. Thank you so much.
Okay. So it's a pleasure for me to discuss this thematic with you. We heard a lot of very interesting point on the cognitive reserve. I'm interested in bilingualism. Fribourg is a bilingual city, and so it was an interesting place to study this. But I will bring that more on the part of aging and of pathological aging, which is Alzheimer's disease, and see where we are at this point now. We know that Alzheimer's disease or other form of dementia are not exactly aging. Aging is characterized by a decrease, a partial decrease of some dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, while in Alzheimer's disease, here on the left side of the picture, you have more temporal parietal changes in the early phases. Now, when we look at what are the environmental factors to Alzheimer's disease, I'm sorry, I realized that the picture, the title of the picture is in French. That's an error, but it's also to keep you a bit in the bilingual system. One aspect is 60% is in the more in the genetic part or the congenital part, and there are a certain number of environmental factors such as hearing loss, educational, hypertension, alcohol, obesity, smoking, depression, social isolation, physical inactivity. So quite a lot, which seems to play a role in the development or at least in how the system, the brain is sensitive to the Alzheimer pathology. And excuse me, and we joined what we was said before by my colleagues, that we have when we go in the sense of mild cognitive impairment and dementia, we have this role of the cognitive reserve, which doesn't change the disease, but which create some kind of defense against Alzheimer's pathology, against other forms of dementia, against neurodegeneration. Now, when we look at bilingual people, when we look at bilingual participants, we know that 60% of the population at the moment is bilingual. We see that if we look at the first language, what we call maternal language, or L1, and the second language that we call L2, the brain actually does use approximately the same brain areas to function in one language or in another. It seems like there may be some slightly larger network in the second language which are used, but the main, what is used for language is used for language, and what is used for L1 is used for L2 also. Now, the other point particular is because if you don't want to mix una lingua with another and change the langue, mélanger the text in another language, you have to use your what we called control system, language control system. That is, when I have to speak in one language, I have to activate a system, which may be here, if I want to activate the word Robin, I have to activate the whole English system, and I have to inhibit or deactivate the other language, which is at the moment the French system here in this. And what is interesting, and we were quite interested in this point, that a different part of our studies, is that this system is actually a general cognitive control system. It's not necessarily a specific language system, but a general cognitive control system, which involves this frontal area, particularly caudate nucleus, dorsal anterior cingulum, prefrontal cortex, dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. So a system which is implicated in general cognitive control, like you have, for example, in the Baddeley's models. So what is used for switching task is also used for switching language at certain level. There are some specific parts which are more related to language. And what has been shown is that when there is a specific language active bilingualism, this bilingualism does not only affect language areas, but all these system, this control system, here the singular cortex in terms of cortical gerification during the life. We've studied a lot of these systems, and parallelly, some other people have studied clinical situations where they have compared language bilingualism, monolingual, and onset of dementia. Craig, Bialystock, and Freeman were the first to do that 12 years ago, and they showed that bilingualism delayed of 4.3 years the beginning of dementia. This is something which is discussed at the moment. Not everybody has found this big difference. However, meta-analysis, recent meta-analysis, which showed, we looked at Indian, American, European, many others, also Chinese studies, have shown that there seems indeed to have a difference in the clinical onset even of mild cognitive impairment. And this onset could even be delayed of 7.4 years in bilingual compared to monolingual. After that, the disease takes its own way, and the end of the disease doesn't change if you are bilingual or monolingual. But we have the impression that there is this bilingualism has been recently indicated as one of the sustained stimulating activity, active bilingualism, that may foster healthy aging by promoting the cognitive reserve, and also by maintaining functioning in the presence of changes in brain integrity or neurodegenerative lesions. And since this is actually a very discussed situation, there is at the moment a funding opportunity in 2020 by the NIH and the National Institute for Aging in the United States, which propose to develop studies to understand the role of bilingualism in cognitive reserve, resilience in aging, and in Alzheimer's disease or Alzheimer's disease-related dementia.
Jean-Marie, I'm very sorry to interrupt you. We are not seeing your slides advance. It's only still on the title slide. I don't know if you're able to advance them on your computer.
Oh, sorry for that.
No problem at all. Figured perhaps...
I have to stop. And now you see the slide, Noah?
We saw your title slide, but it wasn't advancing through the presentation.
Okay. Now let me see.
Thank you. I apologize for interrupting.
No, I think that's a very important point. Let me see if I can. No, not here. Stop. can hear. Do you see now changes or no?
Yes,
No, huh?
yes, we do. And just so you're aware, we are going to start to ask the audience about questions in approximately 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Thank you
This
so
is
much.
this was my slide about the shaping in the bilingual situation, shaping the singular cortex. Okay. What is
Wonderful. So I think we're at your final, was this your final slide?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Well, thank you.
The main point that has to be discussed at the moment is that the bilingualism, which is a protection on the cognitive reserve, or is that what is all around? So bilingual people moved more from one side to another, have maybe had a different type of interaction with other individuals, had work that were necessitate more switching. So is that really bilingualism, or is it what is around bilingualism and stimulates brain, which is implicated in the cognitive reserve?
Wonderful, Jean-Marie. Thank you so much. Merci beaucoup in honor of your presentation. Do we have any questions from our audience?
I'm sorry for that. I didn't realize.
I know it's no problem. Technology presents challenges all the time, right? So we don't have any questions at present time from our audience. So I guess, we would just, conclude with saying that it's fascinating, the findings on, the role of bilingualism. And do you think that this is something that could be moved from just a theoretical basis to something that could be potentially actionable in a larger population?
There are a certain number of projects which implicates effectively bilingualism, active bilingualism training as as a specific way to train cognitive reserve, and it's also something which has a certain impact in the people general life. To relearn a second language at 60 years old, there are a certain number of projects which are going in this direction, and probably one of the aim also of this interesting grant funding is really to work on this different to propose some specific very ecological works on that.
That makes sense. Like perhaps we could even leverage technology, right? Like apps on a phone or other opportunities to integrate, facilitating learning a language later in life that maybe people wouldn't consider. Well, thank you so much for the fascinating presentation. We are very grateful, Jean-Marie, and we will move to the next session now.